Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris and I just got done watching The Prodigy. And if you're here, you've most likely just got done watching the movie as well. If not, please click away. This will be completely spoiler filled. I will be going into the ending of the movie, explaining its hidden details and other meanings. If you want to check out my spoiler-free review, I'll link it in the description or card right above me. But with that stuff out of the way, let's dive right into the ending for The Prodigy. So with The Prodigy, it's a new take on a child being possessed. However, this possession is different since it's not from a demon, a ghost, or some sort of supernatural entity. It touches on the belief and possibilities of reincarnation. With the way the movie opens up on a serial killer named Edward Sakara, he is of Hungarian descent and he also goes by the name the Thrash Creek Slasher. His main targets are pretty females that he lures in with his charm, sort of like a Ted Bundy, but then when he has them alone, he tortures them with saw-like devices, cuts off their right hand as that's his signature go-to, and then finishes the job. However, on his latest victim, she managed to escape, contact police, and when they were swatting him, the murderer was murdered in the aftermath. However, he was murdered at the exact same time that a boy in Ohio was being born, Miles. Since one soul died at the same time another one was being born, they were able to inhabit the same body. Another explanation we're given for this is because if you have unfinished business on Earth, you're able to return to complete that business. Touching more on that in a sec, this little boy Miles from a very young age started showing signs of being a genius. His family realized this, took him to get tested, and put him into a school for the gifted. What is sort of unclear about the movie is if Miles is a genius just because he was born to be that way and learning just comes easy to him, or because he has this adult genius-like serial killer already inhabiting him and helping him out with certain things. We know the serial killer has been in his body from birth because they both share a similar physical trait, that trait being heterochromia, which is described as a person with two different colored eyes, which is what Miles has, a hazel eye and a blue eye, just like the serial killer. From certain flashbacks and segments of his childhood, it did look like Miles was struggling with the person inside his head, because at moments on the baby monitor, you can see he was talking to somebody in Hungarian in his head. It's not later until the movie lets us know that the age of 8 is the most crucial time because it's the time that one of them becomes the permanent host of that body. As Miles decides to act out a few more times in school, around his babysitter, do a few more menacing things, he's pointed to his school psychiatrist, which is then pointed to someone who studies reincarnation, apparently. It's here where the movie got a little messy and just went too far with the explaining, because thus far the movie was doing a good job of showing you what was happening. However, at this sit down with this researcher named Arthur, he explains to him that he studies reincarnation and he believes it's a real thing, also informing us the rules of what's happening. If your child all of a sudden has a taste for certain foods he's never tried, is familiar with certain things he's never been aware of, or has memories that are not possible for him to have, it's because someone is most likely living in his body trying to complete whatever task they were left on Earth. The only way to get Miles' body back for himself is to help the serial killer kill that one person who got away all those years ago that brought the police to kill him. The mother of Miles is now faced with this dilemma of, I want my child back, but I don't want to murder someone in the process. However, the love of a mother is too strong and she decides to go ahead and take Miles to the survivor. And faced right at gunpoint with the survivor, the mother is unable to finish the job to save her child. But at the last minute, Miles comes in and kills her and finishes the job. The mother is then sort of relieved that this is finally over with, that the serial killer has completed his task on Earth and can now let Miles live on his life. But as you would have it, it turns out that the serial killer spent way too much time in Miles' body and has now become the permanent host. In fact, he's been the permanent host of that body for a long time now. The movie states at some point in the middle of the movie, Miles left his body, and it's been the serial killer the entire time pretending to be Miles, pretending to switch back and forth from personalities. The mother sees no other option than to kill Miles because this guy is a real threat. But right before she points the gun, killing her child, a local farmer who happened to be the neighbor of the survivor that was already murdered is witnessing a person about to kill a child and decides to kill the mother mother in return. Miles goes back to looking like an innocent child, is put into foster care, brought into a new home, where the movie ends letting you know for sure that this serial killer has permanently taken over the body and he's ready to continue a new reign of terror as Miles, the little kid genius killer. There were a lot of interesting things for me in this movie that I found pretty cool, especially that ending. I do think that was pretty badass that they revealed that Miles had left a long time ago and it's been the serial killer the entire time. And it's kind of obvious throughout the movie where you get that feeling. And in fact, I feel like Miles, or the serial killer, lied to the mother and said that halfway through the movie Miles was gone. I think the serial killer took over a long time ago, maybe even before the age of 8. Because at the beginning of the movie, you see this serial killer working on engineering projects where, like I said, it looked like he's working on saw-like devices to torture his victims. And we even saw at one point in the movie, Miles turned a baby monitor into a spy camera to look into what the parents were doing when he wasn't around. Not only that, but how pre-planned every little movement Miles made when he was with the therapist and threatened him as a pedophile, or with leading the mother to take him to the survivor so that he could finish the job. In my honest opinion, as soon as Miles turned 8, the serial killer was in full control, and him just telling the mom that that was the last time you talked to your son was just another manipulative way to try and get him not to be murdered by this woman. And early on in the movie, you also see the kid is at school drawing pictures of hands, which was the thing he was known for, being obsessed with his victim's hands. Hell, when he even killed the dog in this movie, he chopped off the paw of that dog. Being a dog owner, I hated that part. I always thought it was a rule in horror movies. You don't kill kids and you don't kill the pets. I gave this movie a positive review. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I will just say the only things that bothered me is at points it got to be very predictable at what was about to happen, and they just overdid the explaining with why this was happening and how to stop it, because I think the movie was doing a great job just letting the audience build on what they were dishing out until you had a full 10-minute scene of just sitting down and going, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, and a school psychiatrist sitting over there like, yep, reincarnation, this is a thing. I'm honestly way more interested in seeing a sequel where Miles is this little kid going through school murdering people as a teenager. Honestly, there's a lot of things, because this serial killer is pretty fascinating. He's manipulative, he's a genius, he's 3 steps ahead of you. When you think he's doing this, he's really planning for this. This is where I think it could have franchise potential, and him jumping foster home to foster home, messing with kids, messing with those parents. But let me know what you guys thought about The Prodigy. If you got around to see it, are you happy with the way the movie ended? Do you think this was a good horror movie? Anything and everything, please go ahead and let me know down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.